Tom, you're heading into week 8 of the NFL season, nearly the halfway mark of the entire year. You gotta know who's good at this point, right? Grossi Posse Packer Nation. Welcome to another episode of the podcast where you don't have to be a Packers fan, but it sure does help. I'm your host, Tom. Nope, still don't know who's good, Grossi. And today we are going to be attempting, as we have been attempting every single week this season, to rank the top 10 teams heading into week 8 of this 2025 NFL season. And listen, things are not going well in power rankings land, because at this point we at least have an idea of who's good. But right now, up is down, in is out, and I have no idea what's going on. The NFL is topsy-turvy. You have the Eagles coming away with a big win. Are they going to be back? The Chiefs are back to their winning ways. The Colts are the best team in the NFL record-wise. So yeah, things are going a little crazy, and the Giants, well, yeah, we saw what happened with that. So before we get into our top 10, we got a whole bunch of honorable mentions. And a reminder, an honorable mention's not 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. It's just a shout out because they're doing well or they did something of note this week. And starting off, oh God, you got the Chicago Bears. Do you see how wrong things are in the NFL right now? I gotta give an honorable mention to the Chicago Bears. Why is that? Because they won their 4th straight game this past week. And listen, I gotta be honest with you. Against the Saints, Caleb Williams did not look great. But you know who looked really good? DeAndre Swift. That defense. The Bears had the best turnover differential heading into this week. They got an additional 4 turnovers on Sunday. And I gotta say, are the Bears playing complimentary football? And while we mentioned Caleb Williams not having his best day, the fact that they could actually rely on other aspects of that team to pick up the slack is not something we've seen from Chicago in a long, long time. And so it's going to be really interesting to see how Chicago continues to play down the stretch. They are currently not even in last place in the NFC North. That belongs to the Minnesota Vikings. And hell, if the Lions and Packers lost, the freaking Bears could be leading in the NFC North. So as you can see, things are going very wrong very quickly. The fact that we have to shout out the Chicago Bears, but I do got to give them credit. Swift is having a really nice season in which I was very doubtful heading into this year, considering how he was utilized last year. But they built up the trenches. You can obviously see it on defense. Their run game is better, and Caleb Williams is not getting sacked 5 times a game. And so because of that, I got to give the Bears the honorable mention. Following that, and it's going to be a quick honorable mention since we gave them one last week, you got the Carolina Panthers. The Panthers, another team that is doing some crazy things. What's the crazy thing, you ask? They are above 500 for the first time since 2021. Now, it was an ugly game against the New Jersey Jets, but I gotta shout out the Panthers after their big win against the Cowboys the week before. And while Rico Dowdle was not as effective this week as he was sharing carries with Hubbard, the Panthers, they still look like a solid football team. On top of that, their defense was able to beat the ever-living crap out of Justin Fields and stop whatever the hell the Jets are trying to do. The problem with the Panthers, though, is Bryce Young has a high ankle sprain, and so he is day-to-day. His status for next week against the Bills is in jeopardy. And listen, Panthers, you want to get a whole lot of respect in this league? Beat the Buffalo Bills. They do have the run game that can definitely run all over that Bills defense. And with Bryce Young probably out on Sunday, it is going to be a challenge to try and get a win. But the Panthers at least deserve a shout out because, hell, man, they're above 500. We're heading into week 8. And for Panthers fans, they've been waiting for this for a long, long time. Another honorable mention, I mentioned them in the intro, is the Philadelphia Eagles. And listen, Eagles fans, I was this close to putting you in the top 10. You put together another performance and you'll probably get up there. But the Eagles, looking back to their old ways, they actually found their passing game. Jalen Hurts throwing for over 300 yards was phenomenal. A.J. Brown getting into the game plan. Devontae Smith had a fantastic game. And their defense played pretty darn well and made that Carson Wentz revenge game pretty darn miserable. Now, they did beat up the Minnesota Vikings, who I would just want to again mention, are last place in the NFC North. But the Vikings have a pretty good supporting roster, and I know J.J. McCarthy wasn't playing, though who knows if J.J. McCarthy is going to be better than Carson Wentz, because we got to see him play a little bit more. But the Eagles definitely deserve an honorable mention and a shout out. Now, I will say Saquon Barkley still not getting things going in the ground game, and that is a concern going forward. We'll see if the Eagles can get better in that department. You have Brandon Graham announcing that he's coming out of retirement to help the defensive side of the Eagles. We'll see how much of an addition he is going to be. But Philadelphia, right now, you're just outside the top 10. You get the honorable mention, and let's see if you can put things together for the next few weeks. Another NFC East team that's got to get a shout out. You got the Dallas Cowboys. The Cowboys. Man, that offense is humming along. Dak Prescott is sneakily having an MVP-like season. Another game with no interceptions. CeeDee Lamb coming back, and his impact was immediately felt. They were able to kick the crap out of the Washington Commanders. And I know Jaden Daniels got hurt in this game, but they were working the Commanders before Jaden Daniels even left. Javonte Williams was also able to get things going on the ground. Yes, it was against a Washington Commanders run defense, which is not great this season. And while we're still trying to figure out if the Commanders are even a good team, you got to give a shout out to that Cowboys offense. Their defense actually played pretty darn well. We'll see if that defense can get better and better as the season goes along, as the 21-day window for Overshown has started, and that would be a huge impact to that defense, which desperately needs a pass rusher. And so for now, the Cowboys get an honorable mention, and we'll see if they can make their way back into the top 10. And finally, for the honorable mentions, you got the Pittsburgh Steelers. Listen, you were in the top 10 last week, but then you lost to the Cincinnati Bengals. Yeah, that was not a great loss. And listen, everything I said about the Steelers still rings true, except about the good defense part. We'll talk about that in a second. But from last week, I put the Steelers up in the top 10 because I was like, they are in the best situation in terms of their division. They have the AFC North well in hand. Their offense was looking good. Rodgers was getting rid of the ball quickly. Their run game was looking good. Their defense was playing really well. And then Joe Flacco happened. And now I know you might think that this is a pretty sharp decline for the Steelers, but the only reason is because I think there's a few teams that had some more impressive wins this week. And again, the Steelers lost to the Bengals, whose offense just magically came to life against the Pittsburgh defense. That defense could not do anything against Jamar Chase. Joe Flacco was able to get the ball out quickly, and it was the best Bengals game that we have seen all season, or at least since they had Joe Burrow under center. Now, I don't think all is lost for the Steelers, but they need to figure things out on defense, because I was really high on them. I thought their defense was putting it together week after week, and it was like, oh man, they're a balanced football team. But now that's a little bit in doubt right now. They are going to have a matchup against the Green Bay mother-loving Packers on Sunday Night Football, which is going to be magical. I got to give a shout out to the Steelers because I still think they're a solid football team, and yes, they are in still good position to win that division, but after a loss to a division rival who has not been great this season, they got to get an honorable mention and get knocked out of the top 10. And so, heading into our top 10, this one's for you, 49ers fans. You got the San Francisco 49ers. The 49ers. Just when I wrote them off, I left them for dead. They had no Fred Warner. They had no Nick Bosa. Brock Purdy is still hurt. They put together a defensive performance that is phenomenal against the Atlanta Falcons. Robert Saleh has been incredible this entire year, and his defense has been consistent nearly week to week. However, after losing last week, I thought maybe that was it. That's the final nail in the coffin. But their defense was able to limit what Robinson and Algier was able to do on the ground. They were able to get after Michael Penix, and to be able to do that with literally second, third, and fourth stringers, yeah, that's really damn impressive. And so I got to give a huge amount of credit to Robert Saleh and that defensive squad. And taking a look at that offense, George Kittle coming back, being a huge addition in the run block game, because let's be very honest, it would have been a dark night if not for Christian McCaffrey.
I never said thank you. And you'll never have to.
And the 49ers are not just making the top 10 because I owed them one from a couple of weeks ago. They're making the top 10 because I'm legitimately surprised how they were able to beat the Atlanta Falcons. It was all Christian McCaffrey. He was their leading rusher. He was their leading receiver. And while their offense wasn't really able to get anything else going, Christian McCaffrey did more than enough to win them that football game. And so for the 49ers, the big question is going to be sustainability. Are they going to be able to sustain this from week to week to week? I honestly do not know. But considering they've been able to win this many games, and with all the injuries they have, yeah, they deserve a top 10 spot. They're still competing in the NFC West. And for now, the 49ers are back in the top 10. Number 9, I don't know, man. You got the Denver Broncos. The Broncos. Are the Broncos good? And this is an actual question. And I've talked to Broncos fans, and it's not just Perna. Nobody knows. The Broncos, they were shut out for the first 3 quarters. They were getting blown out by the Giants. Their defense was at least keeping it respectable. And then the 4th quarter happened. Bo Nix started to come to life. The offense started humming along, and they scored 33 points in the 4th quarter. Now, this Giants squad could have won that game. I don't know if they had a kicker, if Jackson Dart doesn't throw that interception, though he had a very good game otherwise. All I know after this game is Broncos fans will never doubt Perna's curse wheel ever again.
Who's in charge here?
And Denver is just a head-scratching team. Yes, their defense is really good, but when their offense can't stay on the field, that defense is going to get gassed. However, this squad does deserve some credit because that is a sensational comeback. 33 points to win in the 4th quarter has never happened before in NFL history. And so for the Giants, this is a cataclysmic loss. And for the Broncos, yeah, they continue to get another win. Their defense does enough to get it done. Their offense just wants to play in the 4th quarter. But another thrilling comeback against an NFC East team at the very end of the game. And so the Broncos find themselves in the top 10. But I have no freaking idea, man. Number 8, you got the Kansas City Chiefs. Welcome back, Kansas City, because they whooped the ever-living crap out of the Las Vegas Raiders. The Chiefs, let's talk about that defensive performance. Shutting out the Raiders. They could not get anything going on the ground. The Raiders got 3 first downs all day. They only called 30 plays. And meanwhile, the Chiefs offense, they had 30 first downs. And one of those first downs came off of a fake in which Patrick Mahomes was saying, this never effing works. And then they handed the ball off and they got a first down on 4th down. And they just love to embarrass the Raiders. They did it with the snow globe play a few years ago. And now, yeah, I don't really know if you can embarrass the Raiders anymore, more than they're embarrassing themselves. But the big news coming out of this game is the Chiefs got Rashee Rice back, and it just seems like that offense is starting to gel, just like a family.
Father, thank you for the gathering of friends. And most of all, thank you for fast cars.
Oh, what a random clip. But the Chiefs, man, yeah, they're gonna be a problem. They're a healthy team right now. Patrick Mahomes is having a very nice season. He's been incredibly efficient. And on top of that, if their run game can be consistent week after week and they got their biggest offensive weapon back, they are going to be a problem as the season goes along. And so, ladies and gentlemen, the Kansas City Chiefs may be back. We are all under their mercy, and we'll see if anyone can step up and stop them. Just like the Jaguars did a few weeks ago, but look what happened to them. Number 7, you got the LA Rams. The Rams, speaking of the Jaguars, woof, the Rams worked Jacksonville, and it looks like the only person who got off the plane was freaking Travis Hunter, who had a very, very good game. But we're talking about the LA Rams here. Matthew Stafford, he had 5 touchdowns this past Sunday on less than 200 passing yards.
My lord, is that legal?
I will make it legal.
They had no Puka Nacua. It was no problem. Devontae Adams pulling off a hat trick, getting 3 touchdowns on Sunday. And this is why you sign him in free agency, because he can still go. But the Rams, let's talk about that freaking defense, man. They only allowed a touchdown in the 4th quarter of that game. They sacked Trevor Lawrence 7 times, and they didn't allow anybody on that Jaguars offense to get things going except Travis Hunter. And the Rams, they have one of the better defenses in the NFC West. I know the Seahawks are banged up right now, but they're competing in that NFC West, which is very crowded at the top. And then, of course, you have the Arizona Cardinals. But when you talk about Puka Nacua coming back to this offense, they can be explosive. Their defense is really darn good, and they can get after the quarterback. I think the Rams are built for the playoffs. And while we are still not even at the halfway point of this season, the Rams deserve a lot of credit. They're back in the top 10, coming in at number 7. Number 6, you got the New England Patriots. The Patriots, it was a little bit of a close game in that first half against the Tennessee Titans, but they were able to pull away and dominate that second half. Their defense has been really darn good the entire year. But of course, the number one story coming out of New England is freaking Drake May. And after the success that you've seen this season so far with a young quarterback, it becomes very evident that Vrabel is teaching Drake May in the evil ways of the Empire.
The dark side of the Force is a pathway to many abilities some consider to be unnatural.
Is it possible to learn this power?
But Drake May, over the course of these last few weeks, has been sensational. The dimes that he is throwing are really, really good. It's crazy when you get a guy protection and also receivers to throw to. But the Patriots are a well-balanced football team. We talked about this heading into this season, that they could potentially be a wild card team. And the best thing about New England, not only are they leading in the AFC East, but the rest of their schedule is not bad at all. So this team might wind up not only making the playoffs, but they have a shot to win that division. Of course, there is a long way to go, but you got to give props right now to the Patriots. They seem to be all the way back, and it's because of Drake May. Number 5, you got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Buccaneers, they were number 1 last week, and they had their worst loss of the season on Monday Night Football against the Detroit Lions. Their offense could not get anything going. Their defense, while they did cause some turnovers and they were able to get after Jared Goff, Jahmyr Gibbs was able to run all over them. But the worst thing is not the Buccaneers lost this game against a good team. It's the fact that Mike Evans broke his collarbone, and that 1,000-yard streak is going to come to an end.
Sorry, man. Just no scenario where this guy lives.
No, listen! I'm money!
I just freaking love Mike Evans, man. Yeah, not only breaking his collarbone, dude had a concussion, and it was just a rough night for that Buccaneers offense. And listen, they are beaten up. They have a ton of injuries. No Chris Godwin, now no Mike Evans. They had no Bucky Irving. Ibuka's banged up, but he wound up playing on Monday night, and it was just a little too much for the Buccaneers to overcome. We'll talk about the Lions a little bit as they still remain in this top 10. But for the Buccaneers, of course, you do have concerns going forward with Mike Evans missing the season. However, I think they still will be a very good football team. I still think they have a really good shot to win their division. They just have to get healthy. So they're going to drop from the 1 spot to the 5 spot. Yes, it's a loss, but it's also the loss of Mike Evans. And at the end of the day, Buccaneers, go and drink your Ovaltine, and hopefully we see you climbing this list once again. Number 4, oh, you're so lucky I put you up here. You got the Seattle Seahawks, who, oh, they tested my patience last night. We were streaming the game, and they had so many opportunities to put it away. But then they're like, you know what? Let's throw the ball. Oh, wait, we're going to throw another interception. Also, another note, are they ever going to let Kenneth Walker score a touchdown?
One time, it would be really awesome if, like, you could slingshot me in for a win.
Okay, but if you won, how am I going to win?
Yeah.
Think about it.
But the Seattle Seahawks, with their battered up secondary, which is only going to get better as they get healthier, they were able to cause a ton of problems for the Texans, whose offensive line is atrocious. CJ Stroud was under siege the entire evening. The Seahawks defensive line, which was phenomenal last week, was really good once again. And I have to imagine the only reason that they didn't put them away sooner was because they were depressed over the Mariners' loss. So because of that, I'm giving them a pass. But you take a look at that Seahawks offense, JSN is that guy. He is one of the best, if not the best receiver right now in 2025 with the way that he has been playing. Their entire offense seems to run through JSN, but hey, it's winning them football games. The problem is eventually they'll find somebody who can cover JSN, and then they're going to have to maybe give Kenneth Walker a touchdown. But until that time, the Seahawks remain a very balanced football team. They were able to knock off a very good defense, and even though it was a very ugly win, they get the win. And so now, Seahawks fans, here's something good to try and get you over that Mariners loss. Number 3, you got the Green Bay mother-loving Packers. The Packers are apparently insistent on me going on blood pressure medication as they were able to battle back and knock off the Arizona Cardinals. And listen, you got to give the Arizona Cardinals a ton of credit. They went toe-to-toe with the Colts last week, and they had a really close game with Jacoby Brissett. On top of that, they were leading against the Packers for a good chunk of this game, and it took a whole lot of effort for the Packers to come back and ultimately win. Unfortunately for the Cardinals, all of their games have been decided by one score, and a fourth quarter collapse is unfortunately something they've been used to this season. But let's talk about the Green Bay Packers. A very rough first half. You had Haversick setting a franchise record with a 61-yard field goal. No Devontae Wyatt or Lucas Van Ness on the defense, and their secondary, especially Nate Hobbs, was not great on Sunday. However, Micah Parsons had himself a career game, 10 QB pressures, 5 QB hits, and 3 sacks on the day. You take a look at the offense, while the play calling was definitely definitely not at its best. LaFleur decided to be aggressive at the very end of that game with about 2.5 minutes left and go for it on 4th down, which eventually led to the game-winning touchdown. And so because of that, while he is getting some criticism, he deserves some credit as well. And the thing that's frustrating about the Packers is they only have one loss this season. They are at the top of the NFC right now and the top of the NFC North. But the problem is, even though they've only lost one game, we're still trying to figure out if this team is good.
You need a small object, potentially heavy, something you can have on you all the time that no one else knows.
Like a coin?
That way, when you look at your totem, you know beyond a doubt that you're not in someone else's dream.
But the Packers are going to have themselves a test on Sunday night as they are going to be seeing Aaron Rodgers once again, his first time since leaving the Green Bay Packers, and that should be a phenomenal game on Sunday Night Football. I do think the Packers offense is really good. Jordan Love is having himself a really nice season. Josh Jacobs was able to get things going and got 2 touchdowns near the end of that game. And so if they're able to play complementary football, I think the Packers are one of the better teams in the league. Their question marks do come with the secondary and that offense's ability to remain consistent. But as of right now, a hard-fought win on Sunday against a solid Cardinals team puts them in at number 3. Number 2, you got the Detroit Lions. The Lions. You want to talk about a statement win. You saw it last night. The Lions running all over the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and that Bucs defense had no shot against Jahmyr Gibbs.
All right, what happened? What'd you lose him?
He's a freak. He's the fastest kid alive.
This is not good.
He's the fastest kid alive.
Gibbs was absolutely phenomenal on Monday night, and it just seemed like the Buccaneers had no answers for him whatsoever. On top of that, having McNeil back on the defensive side of the ball, he was able to get pressure, he was able to stop the run, and ultimately that secondary, which is not only banged up, they were also missing Brian Branch, put together their best performance of the season. Now, yes, the Buccaneers wide receiver core is very much beat up. However, the Lions deserve a ton of credit because their most questionable part about their squad is that secondary. If they're able to get healthy, that defense is going to be really good. Aiden Hutchinson put together a nice game as well. That pass rush has been pretty damn good all season. And looking at the offensive side of the ball, whether it's the Sun God and Amon-Ra St. Brown, whether it's the ground game with Gibbs or Monty, the Lions can beat you in a multitude of ways. They were able to run all over the Buccaneers and be dominant on defense. And so because of that, they find themselves in the top 3 at number 2, and there is only one team ahead of them. And number 1, who the hell saw this coming 8 weeks into the season? You got Indiana Jones and the Indianapolis Colts. The Colts are not only number 1 in the entirety of the AFC, number 1 in the NFL with the best record, but now number 1 in Tom Grossi's power rankings.
Fortune and glory, kid. Fortune and glory.
See, I can be humble about it too. But let's talk about the Indianapolis Colts. First, let's talk about that defense. That defense, oh yeah. I mean, you want to talk about a transformation. Go watch some Colts defense last year. They have taken some major steps. And yes, they were able to beat up an injured Chargers team who had no Joe Alt. Their run game really wasn't getting anything going, but they were able to lock things down on the defense. I know that Justin Herbert threw for over 400 yards, but the Colts had that game pretty much the entire way. But let's talk about that offense. Not only is Daniel Jones having a really good season, but Jonathan Taylor is making his case for MVP as well. Another 3 touchdown performance, and it just seems like week after week, Jonathan Taylor is one, if not the best running back in the NFL. It's between him, Robinson, and CMC at this point. And for the Colts, they have found this beautiful balance. Tyler Warren keeps on proving the Colts right after drafting him in the first round, as he has been a phenomenal addition to that offense. And for the Colts, they are a balanced football team. They're not turning the ball over. Their defense is good, and that is a winning formula that not only puts them atop their division, it's atop the AFC, atop the NFL, something that I could have never predicted heading into the season, and it just feels like this Colts team is very, very different. We'll see how long they're going to be able to hold on to this, but as of right now, they deserve the number 1 spot in the power rankings, and the Colts signing Daniel Jones this offseason, it seems like they have chosen wisely. And so just to recap, at number 1, you got the Colts, 2 Lions, 3 Packers, 4 Seahawks, 5 Buccaneers, 6 Patriots, 7 Rams, 8 Chiefs, 9 Broncos, and 10 49ers. But let me know what you think down in the comments below. Who should be on this list? Who should be off of it? We'll see what happens after week 8 and what these power rankings look like next week, because I can be honest with you, I have no idea what's going to happen. But let me know. You guys saw me at TomGrossiComedy.com, and a big shout and thank you to all the Patreon and YouTube members for supporting this channel. And thank you so much for watching. I'm Tom Grossi. And as always, go Pack Go.